Buenos Aires, Argentina. On September 23, at approximately 5 p.m., the emergency services received a call about a stolen Chevrolet car. The police arrived in the area and after a few minutes found the stolen car. The police turned on the sirens, but the perpetrators were not going to give up and drove even faster. The chase lasted almost 15 minutes. Eventually, the driver failed to control the car and crashed into several cars standing at a traffic light after the accident. Two suspects got out of the car and ran far away. The suspects could not escape and were quickly apprehended. One of the detainees was released from prison 12 days before the incident. Paraguay, city of San Lorenzo. This incident occurred on 31st July 23 at a petrol station at approximately 8:30 a.m. A woman who works as an accountant at this petrol station was on her way to her work. Three men in a vehicle drove up to the petrol station and waited for the woman to appear. At the moment when the woman was approaching the entrance, two criminals ran up and entered the building. Together with her, the third criminal remained waiting for his accomplices in the car. At that time, the petrol station employees were counting the money for collection. The criminals, armed with a pistol and a shotgun, demanded the money. Having received the cash, the robbers hurried to the exit. When one of the criminals was leaving the office, the police arrived at the petrol station. The robber started shooting immediately. Two policemen returned fire. The perpetrator was wounded in the stomach and fell down. The policeman got out of the car and hid behind cover. While one robber was lying at the entrance, the second robber came out with a shotgun and walked along the building. The second robber managed to escape. Police assume he was injured. The third accomplice also fled. The wounded offender was identified as Luis Satella. He had a warrant for his arrest for robbery, theft, and aggravated larceny. Satella had a revolver, a pistol, ammunition, and stolen money from the men. Taken to the hospital, the owner of the petrol station, Graciela Miranda, said, "This is not the first time they have been attacked by robbers. The criminals are most likely carrying out the attacks because they have information about the petrol station's operations, timing, collection, and location of the accounting department." The woman said she has fired many of her employees who she believes could have informed the criminals. City of Cordoba, Argentina. On the 6th of May 23, an elderly man arrived at the shop on a bicycle and left it at the entrance. The intruder got on the man's bicycle and drove off, but the thief was followed by two people. They saw him steal this bike, and before that, they witnessed him trying to steal a phone. With a spectacular blow, one of the witnesses knocks the thief off the bike. The second man runs up and the two of them hold the thief until the police arrive. The elderly man, the owner of the bike, came to the scene and thanked the brave men. Remedios de Escalada, Argentina. On 6 May 23, emergency services received a call from a man who reported that his white-colored Volkswagen car had been openly stolen. The victim reported that he was in his car when a black pickup truck stopped nearby. Two armed men got out. The driver remained in the car. Threatening with a gun, the perpetrator got into the pickup truck and the white Volkswagen drove away. The police looked through the city's surveillance cameras and found the black pickup truck. The stolen white Volkswagen took a different route and could not be traced. The police began a pursuit that lasted several minutes. Eventually, the pickup truck crashed into a Peugeot car and could not continue driving. The suspects ran out of the vehicle and fired several shots towards the officers. One of the suspects was quickly apprehended. He was identified as Gustav Acosta Colma. His accomplice managed to stay at large a little longer. He walked a few quarters, But eventually the police found him and arrested him. The second detainee is identified as Rodrigo Luis Gabriel Gallardo. A search of the detainees revealed a pistol with a round in the chamber and a loaded magazine, as well as a bulletproof vest. USA, Florida, 4 October 23. An incident occurs at a Jupiter hospital in which a man stabs a doctor and runs away. Police officers identified the suspect, who turned out to be Nicholas David Porcescu. He was last seen driving a vehicle on Interstate 95 towards. Indian River County Jupiter police officers relay information about Porcescu to the Indian River County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's deputies arrived in the southern part of the county and waited for the suspect's vehicle. A helicopter was also in the air. Sheriff's deputies tracked the vehicle in real time with cameras, and the helicopter pilot began a pursuit. Patrol crews joined the chase. The suspect was not going to stop and tried to pull away from the sheriff's deputies. Officers placed spikes in the suspect's path. Even though the suspect tried to dodge, the spikes went off and punctured the wheels. The car soon slowed down and the driver lost control. Porcescu was taken into custody and faces multiple charges that include attempted murder. No one was injured in the pursuit. Buenos Aires, Argentina, 17. May 23. Emergency services received a call from a citizen who reported that an unknown man was threatening them with a knife. Police officers arrived at the address where they found the suspect. The officers try to persuade the man to surrender, but he pulls a knife from his jacket and walks towards one of the officers. The officer uses a non-lethal weapon, a handgun that fires pepper spray ammunition. This weapon was introduced to the police officers a few days ago, and this was one of its uses. The police officer fired 4 shots that hit the arm and torso. The suspect immediately became more cooperative. He threw the knife away, lay down on the ground, and was apprehended without further resistance. The man was identified as Martin Vega Iglesias. A knife and 3 packages of marijuana were recovered from him at the time of arrest. San Miguel, Argentina. On 26 October 2022, a woman went to the bank and received a large sum of money. She got into her car, at which point 2 men on a motorbike approached her. One of the perpetrators snatched the woman's bag, got on the motorbike, and drove off. 2 people witnessed the robbery and reported it to the monitoring center through the ICE on Alert program. An eyewitness reported that one of the robbers moved from the motorbike to a red Peugeot car. Despite these tricks, the surveillance camera operators tracked the car and sent police officers to apprehend the suspects. The suspects were not going to give up, and a chase ensued. The criminals drove onto the motorway, and at one point the car accelerated so fast that the police lost sight of it. Eventually, the driver lost control of the car and had an accident. The suspects fled on foot. They entered a landfill site. The police started searching, and one of the suspects was found in a pile of rubbish. However, the second perpetrator could not be found inside the Peugeot car. A large amount of cash and a bag stolen from the victim was found. The Eyes on Alert program was introduced in San Miguel in 2016 and has proven to be very effective in investigating crimes and apprehending criminals. The program is already active in 22 districts in Argentina. The program is used by 500,000 people across Argentina. San Miguel, Argentina. On 22 December 2021, 2 women entered a bank, got cash, and went outside. They were already being followed by 2 men who were about to rob the bank. At an intersection, the man grabs the bag of one of the women and runs away. The woman falls down and asks passers-by for help. Citizens in the vicinity responded and immediately reported the incident to ICE on Alert. A total of 5 people were contacted through this program. In one report, an eyewitness detailed the incident and the direction the robbers ran a few minutes later. A report came in stating that one suspect was walking along the road near the train tracks. Dispatchers tracked the man using surveillance cameras. Police officers in the area apprehended the suspect. After that, a fifth report comes in where an eyewitness reports that he noticed one of the robbers getting on a bus.
El de remera azul se acaba de subir a un colectivo. Yo no sé qué línea es.
Thanks to eyewitness information and quick police action, the criminals were apprehended and the stolen money was returned to the woman.